Hi everybody, welcome to All Games New and Old. I'm David Rodriguez.
I'm Hillary Rodriguez.
And this is our first episode of our top 50 games of all times. We're going to do these lists 10 at a time. So today we're doing number 50 through number 41. And I'm not sure exactly how often I'll release these. It's going to be maybe every couple weeks. And we will get through it. If you see anything that you think we're missing, it's probably because we haven't played it or we don't like that game. Whatever that is.
Most likely we haven't played it.
It's possible we haven't played it. There's definitely some games that people consider like all-time greats that I've never played. And some I do want to, and some, admittedly, I don't. But I'm not going to talk about those. We're not here to talk about what we don't like. We're here to talk about what we do like. So if you think that we're crazy for liking these games, by all means let me know. And you're wrong. But that's okay. That's okay. That's how it is. I'm just kidding. It's just our opinion. It's how we feel today. We probably won't revisit the top 50 of all time for at least a couple years, I think, after this. We may come in and do like top 10 or 5 lists of like certain types of games or certain genres or whatever. But and I think every year we'll probably do our top however many we decide favorite games that we played that particular year, not so much what came out that year. That'll be kind of that, but we don't want to do the top 50 games of all time too often. So this is kind of our big first list series, and I think it's a good one to start out with because I imagine this is going to be the one to be most interesting to see what changes over the course of years, because I'm shocked at where I end up ranking some things, to be honest, and it's me, so I mean that's amazing. Okay, so I guess, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I got my list.
I have my list in my phone.
We also don't know what each other's list is, so we're going to be surprised by each other's list.
I have no idea at all, so it could be interesting. Okay, so, me or you first?
You can start. I'll
start. Okay, so, my number 50 game of all time is... Hold on, I gotta play some Candy Crush for... No, I'm kidding. My number 50 game of all time is Port Royal. Now, this is a game, I actually haven't played it in at least a few years, I don't think. We got introduced to this, we did a playtest of it at PAX, the regular video game PAX, but they had some board game stuff, and that's actually pretty much all we did when we were there. We played with a couple who we did not know, and we had someone kind of teach us how to play. It's a really simple game. Like, you just start with a deck of cards. The back of each card counts as gold. You start with a certain amount of gold, and then on your turn, you're going to keep playing cards out in a row until you have something there that you want to take or that you can pay to buy. And this could be a type of ship or a type of crew member, which could give you certain abilities. You can get quest cards as well that it'll have certain things you need to look for. And it is a push your luck thing. If you get 2 ships out, I believe, of the same flag, then you bust and you don't get anything. Once I've picked what I want out of what I put out, everyone else around the table could choose to pick something out of my lineup as well, but then they have to pay me to do so. And then when that's all done, the next person goes and they put out their own lineup. And you're just trying to get, I can't remember the number of victory points you're supposed to get to. I think it's the crew members that you can get that have victory points on them. But you're trying to be the first person to get a certain number of victory points. It's just a fun game, very simple. I like to push your luck. I like seeing what card is next, especially when you know like one card can mess you up. Like that's, but you could get a really good card too. Really enjoyable, simple game. The one we have is the one put out by Steve Jackson Games. I think this is switched hands as far as publishers go. I think there's a new version coming out at some point. I don't remember from who, that has like a bunch of expansions. So I definitely am going to be interested in picking that up because I have not played with any expansions, and I'm curious how that might alter my opinion of the game. But that's my number 50, Port Royal.
My number 50 is Tiny Epic Zombies. I like the Tiny Epic games. They're a fun little game, pickup game. They're quick to learn. And they're really well made. I like they do really great little meeples, and each game feels a little different too. So the Tiny Epic Zombies, you're basically, if I remember correctly, you're in a mall and you basically set up your fortress in, I believe, the food court. And so you have to try and save other people from the zombies while keeping your walls up and your rations. And it's basically just trying to kind of survive until the army or somebody can come and rescue you.
It's really cool. I really love the art in that game. I like every character you can play. The opposite side has them as a zombie, because if they get killed, they can become a zombie with like certain abilities, and it's a cool game. Cool game for sure. All right, so my number 49. Okay, my number 49 is Police Precinct. This is a cooperative game with an absolutely massive board. I mean, it's several city blocks that it shows, but I think it takes up one city block to put it down. It's really big. And you play as, no surprise, police officers, each one with a different special ability. And in addition to stopping all these crazy things that are happening throughout the city, whether there's like riots or like break-ins, all that sort of stuff, there's also a killer you're trying to catch. And basically every turn the killer goes further down this track, and if he gets to the end and you can't stop him, then you've lost. But it's really neat because you have to kind of go around and sometimes help each other out, give each other backup to make sure things get done. It's really, really fun if you can download the Law & Order Bung Bung onto your phone and play that every time someone gets to a new location. That was what I did, and it made me really happy. So, really fun game. I'd like to play it again real soon, actually. It's awesome. You just need a football field to put the board on, and you're fine. So, that is my number 49, Police Precinct.
All right. My 49 is Dark Domains.
Oh.
I don't remember much about it.
I actually didn't think this would make it onto your list this high. That's the worker placement one where you are pretending to be good, like people trying to help the king outbuild his kingdom, but really you're trying to impress the necromancer, trying to take over everything, etc. So, you did. That's all you guys said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I could help.
When I was going through our list, I remember playing the game and having fun with the game, but I can't really remember specifics of the game.
Yeah, some of these games are games that it's been a while since we played. Like I actually had to like look up a quick thing to make sure I remembered kind of how like the flow of Port Royal was. So, but yeah, that is definitely a cool game. Okay, so my number 48 is Pandemic. It's
wow.
Is that wow too high, or?
I'm surprised it's so low on the list.
I am too, actually. It was actually one of the first hobby games we bought really early on. Might be the first pure co-op I played. I think the first hobby game I played was Shadows over Camelot, but that's not really a pure co-op. It's got trader stuff. This one's a pure co-op. And in the midst of what's going on now, in case you're watching this years from now, there's a pandemic going on. It sounds weird to say I enjoy a pandemic, but it's just a really like clean, I mean, just smooth running game. You're running around all over the world trying to stop these outbreaks from happening, trying to find the cure, trying to squash them. This is one of those weird co-ops where I hear a lot of people say it's super hard, and I feel like we've rarely ever lost. I think one time we got smacked down hard. Usually we do really well at it. So something about this game really clicks in our brains, and it works well for us. I can't say anything. I mean, the top 50, these are all good games, so I know it's kind of a little bit low. I think that's just because now I've played so many co-op games. There's some others maybe that I might pull out first, but always happy to play Pandemic. We even played during the pandemic and got our victory, and it felt good. It felt good to get a crushing win against a pandemic in the middle of a pandemic. So that's my number, whatever was that, 48? Yes. Wow, I'm already losing track. 48, Pandemic.
Okay. My number 48 is Bargain Quest. You basically, there's a villain, there's some villains that you try and fight, but the main part of it is actually setting up a shop. And trying to get questers to actually buy from your shop and to basically sell the most items. And so you have like a storefront that display window that you have to set up. You have like there's helpers that you can hire. And it's kind of a little bit of bargaining and, you know, trying to kind of almost a little bit of bluffing to it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is an absolutely great game. I love the little individual shops because there's like for every player board it's a little different shop. I think that's just cool. Little nifty
nice
thing
details.
they stuck in there. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so my number 47 is Elysium, which is a set collection game set in sort of a Greek mythology thing. You're going to add certain gods to a deck, and each one has a sort of different focus. And you're just trying to get certain sets of either like the same color, I think, or maybe like all the same level. It's been a little bit. But really interesting system. It has these weird like pillars that you use to like buy things. It's really different, but I like it for not being like it's pretty abstract, honestly, despite like the Greek mythology theme. But art's absolutely beautiful. I just think it's fun. I really enjoy trying to get those the sets that I need, and it's really cool that depending on the mix of gods that you have, it can really change the focus of the game. Yeah. I think that's super cool. So that is my 47. I can't.
47.
I need a teleprompter. That's my number 47, Elysium.
My number 47 is Atlantis Rising. And it's weird that it's rising because it's actually kind of sinking in the game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's a good point.
But, you know, it's a worker placement game, and you have different sections of Atlantis, and Atlantis has, like, kind of different parts of the island that stick out almost like arms. And as you're playing the game, it will start to sink in more and more. And it's just kind of and so there's also a little bit of a pressure luck, because if if one of your workers is on one of the parts that goes under, then you lose that player. So, but I just think it's kind of a fun little game, and the artwork's decent.
Agreed. I think it looks really cool on the table too, with the weird like board where it's all going in different directions.
Yeah.
Really awesome. Okay, so my number 46 is the Funkoverse strategy game. I'm not a big collector of Funko Pops. I think I have one that is not tied to a game, and that's Razor Ramon Chico. Anyway, that's the only one I have. And then we have several of like the initial sets that came out. There's like Harry Potter ones, Batman, yeah, it's all Batman. Golden Girls. You gotta have the Golden Girls. I mean, come on. They've had many since then. I think they're doing Marvel ones. They've expanded further into the DC universe. They have Jurassic Park. I don't even know what they've got. The Kool-Aid Man, if you want that. I got Suko. I don't know. I can't even keep track, because I was meaning to keep up with it, and I didn't, and now I'm so far behind. Yeah. But it's really cool. It's really fun. You just have your team of, I believe it's like 3 different characters, each with their own abilities, and they run around a relatively tight area trying to get certain things done. There's different scenarios you can play out, but they're all really neat. Fight like crazy. And it's got a cool system where it's like you use a certain ability and it goes onto like a track that kind of counts down over your turn, so you can't use it again right away. So you have to really be strategic about when you bust out certain abilities. But really fun game, and if you ever wanted to see like Batman fight Betty White, I mean, where else are you going to do it? I don't.
Somebody's going to slap him with her purse.
Yeah. Oh no. Weirdly, I haven't even played with the Golden Girls yet, and I've heard that they're like real powerful. So I don't know if that's true. I have 2 of them. I don't have the other 2. So anyway, that is my number 46 Funkoverse strategy game.
Okay. My number 46 is The Godfather. You're playing. You have. Are we playing as the characters from the movie, or just?
I don't think it's really. It's not that super.
Yeah, it's not really tied to the movie. But like you're basically trying to get, credit in the mob and money. Mm-hmm. And you do that by doing different things in the shop, in the streets, in the alleys, and bidding on stuff, and so. Yeah,
and don't forget you can make your enemies. You can toss them into the harbor.
Yeah.
And sink for a little bit. That's kind of fun. Cool game for sure. So 45. My number 45 is Cartographers. It's a roll and write game with a really neat theme. Like you're kind of trying to make a map for the king, but then sometimes you'll get a a monster card, and then you'll shift your pad of paper to one of your opponents, and then they'll draw on the monsters wherever they want, which will hopefully hopefully for them, mess up your plans. But you're trying to score points, and then there's certain lists of things you're trying to accomplish. Each one gives you points depending on what round you're in. Basically, I don't always like roll and write games in general. A lot of them I just think they're fine. That one I like, and the solo mode's cool. It does my favorite thing that a solo game can do if it has points. You are trying to beat your score, but it actually breaks down like like I wish I could remember any of like the score breakdowns, but they're all like listed in a funny way that will show you kind of where you're at. So I started off in the really low one. I did eventually achieve the highest, and I probably never will again. But really cool, a little roll and write game. I absolutely love it. I'm looking forward to the Heroes standalone expansion that's coming sometime. But that's my number 45, Cartographers.
My number 45 is Zombie Dice. There's a whole bunch of different dice games out there now, but I think they're a fun, quick game. Like it's nice and it's easy to learn. We've taught several kids, our own kids, our nieces and nephews. It's a fun, quick game. Like it's nice to just keep it in my purse, and so if we're going out to dinner and the kids are getting bored waiting for the food, it's like, okay, well, let's play a couple rounds of Zombie Dice while we wait for our food. And it's quieter than them yelling and screaming.
Yeah, almost I think it is. We could let off fireworks every quarter.
Yeah, you roll your dice. Press your luck. If I remember correctly, you're trying to get to 13 brains. If you get 3 shotguns, you're dead. So, but it plays very nice and quick.
Yeah, great game. My number 44 is Descent: Journeys in the Dark 2nd Edition. Now, oddly, like the classic way you play Descent is someone handles all the bad guy movements and then everyone else plays the heroes. It's a one against many game. I've actually never played it that way. We've always played with the app and a cooperative mode. It's good. It's got a cool like campaign thing. There's a bajillion expansions out there. It's compared to like a game like Mansions of Madness, which is another app-driven game, though, it's fairly clunky. There's a lot more you have to keep track of. It doesn't handle as many things. You're still getting down in the nitty-gritty of those rules, so it's a little complicated to play. Getting the hang of line of sight and all that, a little bit tricky, but it is a really neat, if somewhat long game. I just like the dungeon crawl thing. I like trying to work together with people to like get in good spots to deal with the enemies. It's tricky because suddenly you realize, oh gosh, we're on a time frame here. We got to get this stuff done, and that can ratchet up the tension. Really, really cool classic game. I don't know if it's still going to be supported by new stuff because they just came out with a different Descent. It's not a sequel, so I don't know. But regardless, as far as I know, it's still available and it's not discontinued. So, Journeys in the Dark, Descent: Journeys in the Dark 2nd Edition. That is my number 44.
My 44 is also an app-driven game. It's Chronicles of Crime. Oh. So it's a card game. It's a card game that uses an app. So you're a detective trying to solve a crime, and there's like timelines that you have to do. So, but like as a detective, like if you want to talk to someone, you use the app to scan their card, and you can ask them questions. And I really enjoy it because you really do kind of feel like you're the detective because you can actually control where you go and what questions you ask. And it really builds off of what you do in the game, and you can have completely different game plays when you play it depending on what you ask and where you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tons of different expansions for that too. You can add on, and now I haven't played any of the other ones, but they've had separate expansions that are in different time periods, all kinds of cool stuff. So I don't know how different those all are. I think I've heard they have some differences too on though, so could be worth checking out. So 43, my number 43 is Gloomhaven: Jaws of the Lion.
That's another one.
I don't know. I guess back-to-back dungeon crawls too. It's kind of strange. I'm surprised it wasn't higher because I actually it's funny. I really like this game a lot, but I think excuse me. It's a very, very thinky dungeon crawler. You're not just running in and like flinging dice everywhere. Like you really have to plan out how you're going to use your cards to let you do all sorts of crazy things. Yeah, you have to think a lot for this game. It is no simple run guns blazing kind of dungeon crawler by any stretch. Really cool story. I do like how it's all set up. Yeah, we don't have the big Gloomhaven, and that's kind of okay because we're not even through this one yet. But this is a much more streamlined, nicer way to learn that system for sure. I definitely want to get big Gloomhaven sometime, but
yeah, this game's definitely made me want to have a big one.
It's I think it's probably worth that price, and millions of gamers say the same. So, fantastic though. I do like it. I think the only reason it's not higher is because I have to be really in the mood to be like, oh, I have to really think about my cards and break it down. And it could get to the point when you're at the end of your current dungeon where you're like, I have like hardly anything left. Like, oh god, am I going to be able to do? Like, is it even possible? Great game, though. I don't have really any true negatives to say about it. That is my number 43, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion.
My number 43 is Century Spice Road. You are trying to collect different spices, and you can kind of convert them, and you collect different cards that let you collect different spices, and you have like certain goals that you're trying to make by making certain blends of spices, basically.
Yeah. It's cool. Nice fast game too, which
yeah.
is nice. Doesn't take long at all. So, okay, my number 42. This is the one that I think is actually really going to shock you. Are you sitting down? Or are you really short?
I am sitting down.
You're really sitting down.
I'm also short. But.
You are also short. My number 42 is The Big Book of Madness. Honestly, if you had asked, if you just run up to me on the street for some bizarre reason and said, hey, where's The Big Book of Madness in your games? I'd be like, I'm somewhere top 10 probably. I don't know. It is one of my favorite games. At the same time, I don't know. This is where it is right now. It's one of the first deck builders we bought. We bought it after playing Marvel Legendary. And I was so used to Marvel Legendary where everything just kind of ramps up. You're ramping up, your bad guys are ramping up. You kind of going, you try to keep up with each other and hopefully get ahead. Big Book of Madness.
They're like, you're gonna...
You start wounded on the ground and the game starts kicking you. And you better be able to get up. It's so hard. It is so hard. And there's so many ways to affect what's going on that it makes my brain want to cry. You absolutely, you have to work together. You have to work together. So you don't have much room for error in this game. It is so bloody hard. And that's not a negative. It's just a fact. If I want to get a good ass kicking, I might have to beep that. I don't know. Big Book of Madness is the deck builder. It is the hardest game we have. It's the hardest game we have. We've played so many times. We've beaten it once, just barely. Just barely. Had we been shy one mana, we wouldn't have beat it. It's hard. It's hard. It's so hard.
It is very hard.
But good. It's good too. And that is if you want a really hard deck builder co-op, you cannot do better or more difficult than that. Hey, number 42, The Big Book of Madness.
My number 42 is World's Fair 1893. That's based off of the World Fair. I really like the components of it. It has a really cool modem where, like, the main piece is actually a Ferris wheel that spins, and that's how you get your color blocks to be able to do your different things. And then you also collect it. Basically, you're trying to have the best exhibits for the World's Fair. And so you get different cards and that represents exhibits and like patrons and all that kind of stuff. And then you have these color blocks to be able to actually build the exhibits. And it's a fun, quick game. And I really like the mechanics of the Ferris wheel.
Yeah, I do too. It's really neat. And just Zeroware, I think it's an Amazon exclusive, but they've come out with I don't know if it's a new edition because the rules are still the same, but they've added, because the game has characters from the actual time period in there. The new edition that I think is an Amazon exclusive includes some of the African Americans that were important to the time, which the version we have is just the regular one. Doesn't have that, so I'm a little bummed that if I had known, if I could have foreseen the future, I would have just waited and got it. But either way, it's a great one to go for. Good game, I agree. Okay, number 41 and the last one we're doing on this video. Mine is BattleCon, Devastation of Endines. There's several BattleCon boxes, I think. As far as rules and gameplay, they're all the same. Where they are different is the sheer amount of crazy characters. This game aims to recreate the feeling of a 2D fighting game, and it's really simple. There's like 2 different types of cards, basically, and you're putting down one, and the other one, like that's like the left half of what you're doing, and you're putting down the other, that's the right half, and they combine to let you move and let you do attacks and do all sorts of things. And I don't know how many characters are out for BattleCon now. The set we have alone, the Devastation of Endines, has a ridiculous number. They tell you in there a breakdown of how complicated each one is, so if you're trying to learn, you could start on the basic ones. But when we played and we were both using basic characters, I was amazed at how different they seemed. Like it's crazy, a game that seems pretty simple with what you're doing can make different characters feel so very different. And I want to explore that, and I feel like there's no way I'll play all the games, all the characters in my life, and I certainly won't master them. My hope is that I'll find like a few that I think are really extra cool, and I'll really figure out how to use them. But I really like it, and I was shocked that it could recreate the feeling of a 2D fighting game so well. But that's my number 41, BattleCon, Devastation of Endines.
My number 41 is a game that we've actually reviewed, and that is Bullet. It's a fun game. It's designed to replicate like a shooter game. If you haven't watched a review, you should. To me, it reminds me of Tetris, and I really like the game Tetris, so it's kind of fun to have a board game version of it. So, more information, look at the review.
Yeah, do look at the review. It's great. Great game. Love it. Okay, so that is the first 10, last 10 of our top 50. The first we're doing.
10 to 41. Or yeah, 50 to
41. Of our top 50. So we'll be bringing out more videos as time goes on. If you guys have any questions about any of these games, by all means, let me know in the comments, and I will try to get back to you about them. And if you have enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. Click the little bell icon so you know the next time we put a video out. And until next time, we'll see you all around the table at All Games New and Old. Bye.
Bye.
And this is our first episode of our top 50 games of all times. Something else after that? Yes, lost track completely. Fantastic. Until next time, we'll see you all on